Go to courses. Yes. There is.
We have 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
And then you go from there with the stars to share the dreams you want to learn. Yes.
Good morning, Janet.
Start talking about the project.
That's the first thing.
Is that good?
That's the first thing.
Then I've got to go write a couple of stuff.
2017.
Okay.
Let's start.
Yeah, I did.
I'm just trying to figure out something here real quick while we get started. Because I
Do you
can't
want me
see
to
this.
start?
Go ahead. Janet's going to start out the meeting today.
It's great to see you all again, and hopefully you, as you're coming to the end of this training class, you are getting more and more involved with Canvas and enjoying using it. Chris is going to talk today about the final project. This is something we've added to our course because we feel very strongly that it's okay to come in here and sit at home and do things, and then in 2 months' time you forget what you've done. So what we're trying to do is trying to reinforce some of the skills that you've learned during this training program. So the final project is going to be your project of running 2 modules, 2 weeks of a class that you plan to teach in the fall semester. Because irrespective of what's going to happen, we are hoping that you are all going to be teaching at least 1 class in the fall semester in Canvas. So the project will be to do 2 modules of that class, and Chris will give you all the layout of it. But I want you to be real serious about this, because irrespective of if you're not going to teach in Canvas in the fall semester, you will be teaching it in the spring semester of next year, because Blackboard is going away. So the thing is, the sooner you start learning it and doing it without assistance close by, the quicker the better it is for you. So this project is something that I want you to take one of your classes, the classes or 1 class that you plan to teach in the fall semester, and complete 2 modules of it, according to Chris's handout that we'll give you as far as that project's concerned. You will get back from me or Chris or both of us a very, very detailed sort of feedback on what you've done and what you should have done, and maybe that you didn't think about, so that you at least will get back something that will be of help to you through the summer and into the fall semester. Now, during the summer, both Chris and I are going to be here, except for a couple of weeks in between in July. So we'll be running classes. There are 3 classes that are going to be running in summer. We will be here to help you. We'll be here to work with you as you do your classes, as you get your classes ready for the fall semester. So just be aware that we're not throwing out the walls out there, and we want to see really good classes. It's so important. You cannot imagine how many emails I get on a weekly basis from students who are complaining about the way the instructors running their online class. I mean, it's just amazing to me. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's sort of on the same page, because what you do with it afterwards and involve yourself in something more than what we've taught you is entirely up to you. I mean, there are millions of videos that instructors put out. They're great help to you doing some fun stuff with it. We've got a couple of faculty who are going to do it. Michael Stewart is going to be giving a class during professional development on how to create tabs and how in Canvas, because those are advanced features that we can't get to do here in this class. So we're trying to bring in as many faculty who are already working in Canvas, already teaching in Canvas, to come and assist you with the add-on kinds of things that you're going to have. So Michael Stewart will be doing one in professional development if you want to learn how to do tabs, the links from the tabs. We're going to have 4 Deaf Fridays in the fall semester where we're going to just be doing Canvas. And during the professional development week, Chris and I are having open labs. These 2 labs are going to be open for people who are already into Canvas, but are now got to a point where is this ready for a class? And some people who have never used Canvas before. So you can see we are pushing as much training as we possibly can with Canvas. And so, just watch out for the announcements that will be there. We'll have 4 hours every day at Open Lab in 2 labs here for faculty who want to use Canvas, want to learn Canvas, all kinds of things. And we'll have 3 evenings for adjunct faculty who can't contribute. So we thought really long and hard about how much work we're going to have to put in for professional.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
So I have this class in the summer online, and I was planning to teach you about Canvas.
You can do it.
Okay.
You can. There are sandboxes that will have set up.
Yeah, I just saw mine.
Exactly.
I'm ready to
You
make
can.
it.
And that's why this project becomes so
Yeah,
important for you. So that as you do, that we will give you feedback. And I mean, really, it takes about an hour and a half for us to grade each one of those, not because of the grade, but because we want to give you really good feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Cliff.
Is there a way, I would like this concept of things like tabs. I would love to see what some of the more completed courses look like, because mine looks so basic. It'd be nice to see what can be done with Canvas. Like
You will
tabs or
see that
colors
during
or
professional development. Yeah.
And then next week too, during next week for our final meeting, we'll go over that as well.
I don't even know how to do it now, but just to know that I can do that.
Oh, absolutely. We can show you some of those who are teaching. There are 7 or 8 faculty teaching this semester. And then Michael Stewart is one of them. And he has, in the process of coming out of this class and learning and, teaching in Canvas, he has done a huge amount of.
Can you add colors?
You can do a lot of customized stuff, and we'll get to that. But we got a lot of cover today. There's a couple faculty members here that need to get going here at 10:30, so I'm going to get started right now. The first thing I want to, let's quickly go over the agenda. So for today, if you can read the screen, let me make that bigger. We're going to do a detailed review of final project requirements. We're going to do a hands-on session on how to embed the Netiquette Guide. I've gotten several requests from people that Netiquette Guide, they wanted to embed that infographic on their page. Hopefully I want to show you guys how to do that. I want to do a basic cover on the assignments and how to organize all of your assessments. We're going to talk some things about the Grade Center, and I'll show you how I use the speed grader and as far as how I grade your stuff. And then time permitting, we'll go over course buttons, how to add course buttons to the homepage. Let's deal with how we're going to handle questions. I'm going to cover, when I start talking about each subject with the final project requirements, we're going to start talking about the homepage, navigation, syllabus. When I talk about something, homepage and everything else, I will do lecture. When I'm done with that part of that section, I will say, are there any questions? At that point in time, feel free to raise your hand. As I'm talking, any questions that come in as I'm talking, I will say, hold off until I'm ready. I don't say that because I don't want to get your question. I say that only because, 1, we're short on time with a lot of stuff that we have to cover. 2, I'm recording this and we want to make sure that Shirley Pereira gets her questions in. And I want to be able to really, the last video that I actually recorded, a lot of the questions that were in the back didn't really come clear, so I want somebody to ask their question and then I'll repeat it so it goes smoothly so we can take care of this thoroughly. So that's being said, let's talk about requirements for the final project. So if you've completed Unit 4, your final project is, the final Unit 5 final project is available. Right here I have a detailed list of the final project assignments. Comes over in 2 sections. And before I actually get into detail with this, you notice in previous discussions when I've talked about documents and how they should display, I've mentioned that they would be helpful to have documents as like with this syllabus to display automatically to add further accessibility for students because I don't have to sit there, download this, open it. I could just click on this and I could start reading the document. And that's great, but when you get into a page that has multiple documents, as you can see here, there are under the resource section, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files that I want you to read. If I was to have these open big, this would be one huge long file, one huge thing that they have to scroll. So I went ahead and just made them display naturally. But when you do this on your own for multiple files, notice what I say here. I say, click on the page icon to view these PDF files directly in Canvas, or click on the link title to download these files to your computer. So it'd be good when you're dealing with these files, when you're posting files, if you're doing a lot of files. I believe Susan, when I first saw her course, she has a lot of files that she wants for specific topics within her course. It probably wouldn't be beneficial to do the display automatically, to have a long page that they would have to scroll. So when I say click on the page icon, student automatically knows page icon, boom, I can read it, it's accessible, they understand how to do it. Or I can click on the link title to download it automatically. Little tiny directions on how to navigate and access your content would be helpful. So I recommend you doing this, adding this line if you have multiple documents that can't display automatically and you just want to do the link title right there. All right. So on your own, I want to go over this page because this is probably the most important part of Unit 5. It's going to break down several sections that are important. We're going to talk about the home page. We have the navigation, we have the syllabus, and we have the modules. So with the home page, the requirements here provides a brief description of the course, clear instructions on how to get started, and provides working links to the overview pages of each module within the course. Second requirement, at least one announcement appears on the home page. All right, if we take a look at this effective homepage example, I want to bring this page up. In this document, I reiterate those requirements, and I do a breakdown analysis. So this analysis starts off, it's labeled 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It references the following image, which is right here, where I take a page from a previous student or a faculty member who took this course before and break down what we're talking about. So let's look at number 1 here. When I talk about the analysis, I say this is an effective introduction for a course homepage. It gives a brief description of the course, which provides a clear picture to the student what the course is about and the value they will gain from taking the course. It also provides clear instructions on how to get started, as well as providing links to resources to those students that are new to Canvas. I don't know if we will be able to see that. So as we go over, Felicia Kocher, who teaches LTR research, she provides a warm welcome, a welcome to the course. She talks about this course. It's designed directly for the student who would like to improve their critical research skills. This paragraph tells exactly what the purpose is and the value that student will get after they've taken the course. She's also provided 2 links. One as far as to get started in Canvas, so links to the help student guides, and then as far as course modules and syllabus. And then she tells the students, the syllabus and the modules page provide keys to your success, so read them carefully. And then she has key links to her actual pages. So she added a welcome page, she added a meet your instructor page. That's not part of your requirement, but if you want to go ahead and add that. And then she has the links to Unit 1 overview and Unit 2 overview. Mind you, these links, several of you, when you created your home pages, your links on your home page is linked to the actual module. When you clicked, you saw a module listing. I would like to see a link to the actual overview page. So if we were talking about what overview pages are, let me go into modules. As far as my course, when we look at Unit 1, when I'm saying your first pages for your first 2 modules, when I'm talking overview pages, I'm talking about a page like this. And to answer your question, Michael, I know you submitted your assignment. You tried to access some of the graphics here. By the end of next week, I will post a zip file of all of these images from my course that all of you faculty members can actually use. But the basic thing that I want as far as an overview page, as far as a breakdown, you give a brief overview of what the unit is about, what it will cover, any student learning objectives or outcomes, or just tell me what to expect. If you do student learning objectives or outcomes, what does the student need to do to meet those outcomes? That would be listed there. And that's what Felicia has in her page right here. So that covers, let me reset this. So number two provides working links to key pages within the course as well as the overview pages for units 1 and 2. Then the most recent announcements, for those of you that use the pages as front page as the announcements, the most recent announcements, they come up at the top. And then we take a look at number 4. Take note, there are no assignments, quizzes, pages, or file links that exist in either the course homepage or in the course menu. All of the coursework within this course will be conducted in the module section. So looking back at hers, when we look at her navigation, all she has is home, announcements, syllabus, modules, discussions, grades, people. She wanted to use conferences, and then she has a link for library resources. And then she has course buttons here, a start here button, announcements, syllabus, modules, discussions. I do not want to see, again, the assignments, files, pages, quizzes. That is for your own personal use. That's like your own personal file cabinet in your office. And when you take those files and you get ready to go on your face-to-face course and you hand your stuff out to your students, on the online course, when you're handing that stuff out to your students, that's the module section. The module section should be the core work of doing everything. We had our first round of instructors added these announcements, or added the assignments, added the modules, had the quizzes section, confused students because there was too many points of entry into the course. You only have one point of entry, offers less confusion, and plus students are not going to try to figure out how Pandy's course works and then go into Susan and try to figure out. It's going to be consistent throughout the whole board, and that's what we want to try to establish. That is, yes.
The only time you would have extra links or left-hand nav bar will be if you use LTI's publishers' websites. We'll show you how to upload those. But that's the only time it gets added there that the students can see it as well. Otherwise, just the simple tabs that we have suggested for you should be more than enough for your students to enter one entry.
So that covers the homepage example, the requirements there. So I encourage you on your own time to review that on your own. If you need reference, I also link to the actual homepage assignment that you can click and link on so you can review any of the details as far as how to recreate that homepage again. And there's also a link here for the homepage in regards to Canvas buttons. So if I click on this, by the end, hopefully at the end, we get to this today, I'd like to go over on how to add the actual buttons that you see right here that you've seen on my course, how to add that to your homepage. If we don't get through that today, you can go ahead and use this tutorial on your own, and then hopefully that will help you get that set up. And then you can always ask me more questions regarding that. So with the homepage, are there any questions? Yes, Mr. Lyon.
How do you put the announcements on the homepage?
Let's cover that real quickly. So the question Mr. Lyons asked, how do we put the announcements on our homepage? So first off, with the homepage, let me go here. On the homepage, you need to make sure that the page's front page is set. Once that's set, you click on the settings link. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. There's a link there that says more options. Second item down, there's a link here that says show recent announcements on the course homepage. Have that checked. And then you can select the number of announcements. I usually do 3 for the most recent announcements on the homepage. Now, also realize when we talk about the announcements, you know, as far as in my course, the way I have it set up, you have the ability, students have the ability by default to add comments to those announcements. So that's something you want to watch for. If that's something you do not want for your course, you don't want students to be able to comment on the announcements that you make. Like Mr. Hoagland, I posted that Canvas buttons tutorial last night on the announcements page. Mr. Hoagland posted thank you as far as that, and Chris Ellis did that as well. If you don't want that, you could also click here, say disable comments on announcements. But I think that's beneficial. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it for mine. And then once you're done and you select the option to show recent announcements and you figure out any other changes, you wanna make sure you click on the update course details link to save your changes. Are there any other questions?
The announcements automatically get emailed out.
Yes. If, when we go, and let me preface that, this is something, so the question is, do announcements automatically get emailed to students? By default, when I go into my account and my notification settings, in the notification settings, by default, the check mark is set, which means notify me right away, which means at any time, as soon as I create an email, an announcement should go out to that email address. However, students have the ability to change this option. They can click on the clock, send daily summary. They can click on the calendar, send weekly summary, or they can click on the X mark. Do not send me anything. It might be wise in your syllabus or any first introduction and orientation announcement that you make to your students, leave this on and influence the importance of it's important to get those announcements from you on a regular basis.
You can also then push out an email to everybody.
If I was to push out an email, to this class, I would go through in the conversations inbox and do it that way. That's how I would do it. Any other questions? Yes.
Any way to change the subject of those notifications? So what's happening to me, I don't know, because I have so many notifications, I get everything, and I can right away see if it's a new announcement or if it's something that is just to me, and so sometimes I miss things just because it's so much.
You can't control, at this point in time, as far as what I'm aware of now, I'll definitely, so the question was for the recording they can hear, is any way you can change the subject line for notifications? At this point in time, I don't believe there is, unfortunately. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about navigation. Now, thanks to Susan last night, Susan was working on the final project navigation document, and she caught some mistakes I made, which I corrected this morning. So I thank you for bringing that to my attention.
I was just confused.
No, that was my fault. That was my fault. So I appreciate you bringing that up. But when we talk about the navigation requirements, basically it's very simple. The course is simple and easy to navigate. There is an actual tutorial article that I talk about as far as course navigation links, but there's also a final project navigation document when I talk about requirements on how I would like to see the navigation formatted, and we're going to go over that in detail. So, when we talk about the base sections, now if you've read this before, the missing thing that I had for the top section, I missed grades. Grades that wasn't included, that should be included. So the base sections in your course menu are as follows, in order: home, announcements, syllabus, modules, discussions, grades, and people. Now I've noticed a few of you have taken the initiative to add buttons to your course. The base sections, the bare minimum that you would want to include on your homepage are announcements, syllabus, modules, and then discussions. Optional sections you can include. I don't have them in my course, but you can include the grades and people section as well. So when I'm relating to number 2, what I'm relating to is the actual buttons on the actual homepage. These buttons right here. So these buttons right here that I created right here. Those are the ones that I actually noted. And if you want to learn, hopefully we get to it today, but as I mentioned, if you want to learn how to create those buttons, it's this Canvas buttons PDF document that we want to fill out, that you would want to get to fulfill that requirement. But the buttons in and of itself, This is not an actual requirement, so to speak, but if you're going to include everything, include these links. The main one that I'm going to be focused on is how you navigate, how you create your course navigation. And in this tutorial, I go over the details on how to do that specifically. So I'll quickly go over it here. So with the final project navigation, you want to click on settings. Then when you click on your course settings, you want to click on the navigation tab. And then we talk about reordering course items here. So when we look at this screen here, the top box is what students see. So this is a very long list of menu items, and this would be something that would go against the criteria of an effective navigation. The bottom items are items that students do not see. So in the state of what we see here, students would not see Cengage, McGraw-Hill, ConferNow, NetTutor, and the rest of those. All of these, by the way, are main LTIs that have been installed for Canvas to use with third-party publishers. To hide items, and in this section, if your menu item does look like this, I say all you need to do is drag the items here, click, and then you would just drag these items from the top to the bottom, and I highlight the main ones there. The main ones that I did, like I said, I'll emphasize, assignments, pages, quizzes, and files belong down in the bottom. Once you've done that, so that's why I say as far as confirmation, here's a confirmation of what I want to see. Here are the items, the main items that must be hidden from students. And this, the very top now, is the result of a proper navigation for your students. And again, I influence the items I do not want to see in your navigation. Now, for the optional items, I list all of these from all conferences all the way down to the SCORM. As you continue to learn with Canvas, if there's anything that you feel that that would be beneficial to you, like let's say if you wanted to use chat or you wanted to use outcomes and make that available, you could just drag those items up to the top. Those are perfectly acceptable. Especially if you're using third-party products like Pearson with MyLab and Mastering or McGraw-Hill Connect. NetTutor. NetTutor might be good for you, Mr. Lines, for students that need tutoring with math. You can drag those items up to the actual top. And then once you're done, you can click the Save button and then you'll be good to go. That covers navigation. I believe, Mr. Hogan, did you have your hand up?
No, the only reason I asked, because when I was asking you the other day about putting those tabs in, the buttons that you,
right.
As you pointed out, they don't really need them because that just duplicates what they have on the left-hand side anyway.
The reason why we do the reason why, so the question was, what's the actual point of the actual buttons?
Yeah, I know, because you said that hamburger menu.
If by some chance a student clicks on this hamburger button and they don't know where to get back, at least they have a way to get on. And then on a mobile device, if a student actually uses a mobile device, when they on Android or iPhone, the very first thing that pops up is your home page. And then trying to get to the actual course menu is a little confusing. But with these links and William showed me homepage, they can click on these buttons and then get to wherever they need to go. So those are the two main benefits.
It looks classy.
Yeah. Yes.
I want to have some resources, like links to videos or PowerPoints or stuff. I was thinking about having a button of files or resources. You're saying not to put files.
Everything would be put in your module.
Well, could I have week by week by week module? Maybe I would put another module at the bottom.
You could do that. So right here at the links here, so you have all your key. This is the link to your entire module section. As you start here, you've built out your 2 units, but after you graduate this course and everything else, then I want you to add the rest of your modules here, like it's on mine. And then if there are any other resources that you want to add, you can add this to the links, the bullet list right here.
So it would be another module that's not a week, but it's a module of resources.
You could add it right here, right under this bullet.
But on those buttons now, that you have the green buttons that you have there.
Green buttons I have here, yeah.
Those can be other things. They don't have to be.
They can be whatever you want, but I mean, as
So
far
can
as this.
link them to a different website to say, here's an important website to go for help.
Well, actually, I'm going to sit here, this menu, I would sit here, this as far as navigating the course itself. Any resources that you would want to have for students to go to, quick, most important. I don't want this long list, let's be clear. This shouldn't be a long laundry list of links. It should only be key links to your module pages. And if there's any other resources, I would link them in the bulleted item right here as I have them in my course for the homepage here. So I have here, I have start here, and then the links to the one before. If I wanted to add any other resources, I could probably maybe do a different section right here and add them here. You want to keep this as small as possible. Yes, Cliff?
Just a quick one. Are most people using the people? I don't see any.
They have it available. You can turn it off. That's optional, but at least it gives a bio of who they are. It gives a connection as far. I would recommend having it because it gives connection. It gives me context. If Susan and I are taking a course together, I have an idea. I get a general idea of who my classmates are. So I would recommend having it.
Online class than a
Yeah.
I don't know, in a face-to-face class, I've had students who want to put together study groups or borrow notes, so I like it,
Yeah.
even in face-to-face class.
Did you have a question, Natalia?
Yeah. Right now I have a button that says start here.
Uh-huh.
There's links to a welcome page.
Right.
And the campus map, or the
Right.
design.
No, that's fine. A welcome button, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The only ones, like I said, I am for easy access to the course thing. The only one thing that I want to see in the left-hand menu or here, files, announcements, business pages. Those are the only things that I want to see. These are course related, so if there's any other key items in your course that you feel are important, feel free to include them, but just keep the list, keep the navigation as small as possible. The more things you add, the more complicated it gets, the more confused the student is going to be. I believe we have James Wallerstedt who just joined us. Hello, James, if you could hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, Chris. I just kept my video off, but I got the audio.
Perfect. Right now we're talking about the final project, James. We're on navigation right now, so we're taking questions on that. Susan, did you have a comment?
Do you see a difference between the homepage and the welcome page? I've heard two different phrasings.
Well, I mean, when we look at here, I mean, how I had mine, and again, this is how the course was actually designed here. Mine was, this is a home page. This is, okay, this is your map as far as how to navigate. This is how my course is designed. And then you click here, and then you go into an actual welcome page here. However, as far as faculty and as far as how we had it designed, and let me go back over to the homepage example that we had with the librarian. I wanted it a little different to give students a quick idea, a quick overview of what the course is about. This is the one that I wanted to sit here and go through. So students can automatically see, I'm your instructor, this is what the course is about, to make sure that they're actually taking the right course and what prerequisites and everything else and what it will actually cover, and then give the student, hey, this is how to get started. Mine actually works because you guys, faculty members, you understand outline. Mine differs, but I figured for a new student starting and for what you folks will be teaching, I felt like this would be more effective. But as you can see here, Natalia, here on the screen here, this instructor added a start here button as well, which actually goes through their welcome page too. So that works out as well. You had a question, Phil?
I think I figured it out. Some of you are not going to like this, but I'm teaching hybrid anyway. So in our face-to-face classes, sometimes we get kind of nerdy, reclusive science students who don't mind sharing information with classmates, but they probably would not, and I can relate to this, they probably would not want to be on the people page where there's your name, and now anyone can send them an email. Since I teach hybrid,
they can send them a message, but they would never get their email address. I want to make that clear. They would never get their email address. That's one thing Canvas, as far as FERPA concerns or anything else, the student's privacy is protected, but if you're being, yeah, they get the name and everything else.
But if I take people, if I'm teaching a hybrid class, I could take people off, right? So that they don't.
That's optional. That's your choice. Yeah, like I said, the only things that I'm going to draw the line on in the boundary are files, announcements, pages and quizzes. The other ones are just optional as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Pandy.
Is there a document or a video available already that we can add that is an overview of Canvas?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff. So the question is, as far as the overview, when we look at my actual modules, I believe in Introduction to Canvas, I believe 1.3, Student View, Canvas from the student view, getting started with Canvas as a student. I would recommend highlighting this as far as this resource right here, getting started. This would be a great start for students.
That ought to go in.
And then under the help section, when we go help, and by the way, when I mentioned to you, sir, about the number, the support number, the help number, that's right here, the call for help number. Canvas has 24/7 support, faculty and students. That number is to call right there. But the Canvas guides, that's what we're talking about. When you're looking for any resources regarding Canvas, when I click on the Canvas guides, you as an instructor, you as a student, and there's some Canvas basics. These 3 resources here, perfect. So student, I mean, anything and everything. Blackboard doesn't even come close.
You got this through help.
Through help. Help, search the Canvas guides.
Is there someone in the tech center can we also put down the tech center so they
No.
can go there for help?
No, I mean, as far as faculty,
I mean,
as far as students is concerned, TechMall has not been trained on any support as far as how Canvas actually works. Beyond telling students if they're having any issues, call the support line. And I will refer them to the course. I'll refer them to the Canvas 24/7 support number. That, trust me, that number, and I'm not just saying that to put that off. That's free. That's offered by Canvas. I've used it extensively. Phone calls are actually recorded, so I have personal access to the admin interface. So if for any, I see incoming issues coming in every day, so I can get an idea of who's calling and what, especially for training purposes if there's a lot of faculties. But if a student ever called that number and got a problem representative, have them contact you, send and let you know, notify me, I can bring up that actual ticket, I can listen to the actual phone call, and then I can contact Canvas or instructor and report and deal with that specific issue directly. But by far, their support service has been stellar.
well, the guides are wonderful.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the whole list of everything you can click on to find out. stuff.
All right, so we talked about navigation. Let's go ahead and move on here, and let me get back to where I was. So Pandy, when you walked out, we talked about navigation. So on 5.3 final projects, this is where we left off. You will want to, on your own, review this, but I think your course is good. Syllabus, let's talk syllabus. So syllabus, we're kind of jumping ahead of ourselves. So after 5.3, you're going to be working the one assignment. You only have one assignment in this unit. It's unit 5.4. 5.4, hands-on, post your syllabus. And what you'll be basically doing is you're going to be modeling the actual, as I click here, we're going to be modeling the actual syllabus section that I have. So the idea that I have, and the thing that we want to influence students, there's students that don't read their syllabus or have an idea of getting off track on the course. You want to use the syllabus as your anchor, your guide, your foundation for how to be successful in this course. That's why I have the syllabus display automatically here, so there's no excuse. So when we talk about requirements for the actual syllabus, the course syllabus, the first section explains and emphasizes the importance of this syllabus, how to download it, how to view it, make sure you review it in detail. I also talk about the course summary down below that shows every date and everything else. And then anything that you can sit here and think of as far as in your course, what will the students need to do to be successful? How do they do that? That goes here. And then instructor communication policy. I'd like to see this here as well. The main things, it doesn't have to be, you know, I provide different options. There was the Q&A forum, the conversation inbox, email. You can keep this short and sweet. All I want to know is How do I get a hold of Susan if she's my instructor? And how long is it going to take me to get a reply back? That's what I want to see here. And that's basically, that's just writing. I click edit and I edit this as an actual page. I want the syllabus. So if you're doing a document, some people like Mr. Hoagland decided to paste all of his text in his syllabus, post his entire syllabus up in a text format and not an actual document like I have. You can do that, but if you do an actual document in itself, I want to see that automatically display on the page. Unit 5.4, I have a video that goes over how to make those links automatically display, and we've talked about that before. With the course summary, all assessments meaning assignments, quizzes, or discussions, should have an appropriate due date and time that item is due, as we can see here. So unit 1.4, the edit profile assignment, this is in the old course, April 10th, due at 10:59 or 11:59 p.m. When we talk calendar events, now let me open up the actual document here, because the document, when you review this actual document, it's going over what I'm talking about right now. I break down a lot of the things here. This instructor here does a fantastic job of breaking down. This is an example of her syllabus. The first section she breaks down, she emphasizes the importance of the syllabus, talks about how to use the modules. Please ask any questions, emphasizing the importance to read the entire syllabus. As far as it contains pertinent information about grading, academic attendance, integrity, attendance, and more. Please ask any questions of your syllabus early in course to ensure any success. Complete assignments on time. Use the modules. She's emphasizing the importance of the modules and how that should be the core part. Also talks about the best web browsers to use, Firefox and Chrome. And then she offers a stellar communication policy. Also talks about, she gets back to them in 24 hours. Except in emergency situations and holidays and stuff. It's on the document. So when you get to 5, so the question was, can we share what I'm actually sharing on screen? 5.3, I'm going over this page, which you'll actually get to on your own, and showing you these actual documents that I'd like for you to review on your own when we go through. Syllabus automatically displays. Let me show you the actual unit, her modules, every single item that an assessment. So we know what the assessments are when we see a page with a piece of paper and a pencil. And then the calendar items are here as well. We know what those calendar items, and those are specifically clear. When we talk about calendar events provide clear information, date, time, location, details of the event. So date, August 28th from 5:30 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. There's a librarian-led meeting in location 70-267. The details for this event, this will be our first mandatory face-to-face class meeting. We'll review the syllabus and other expectations, and we'll also begin on a new unit. Details, context. The more context you provide to the student, the greater success you have on notification as far as what's due, meetings to attend, anything else. So we talk about, especially if you do office hours, don't just post office hours, name and location. Talk about the details. What is this event about? Why do I need to attend? How do I attend? Do I need to bring anything? Do I need to schedule? Mr. Hoagland has office hours. Do I need to schedule something with him? Send him an email. Are we meeting online? Are we meeting face-to-face? Provide as much detail specifically for the event for the student. Do not leave this section blank. In regards to the syllabus, any questions? Yes, you were first.
For the due dates in the calendar event, we're supposed to do those for the first 2 modules or for the whole.
Right. And as far as any specifics, I don't know the schedule off the top of my head. And if you're not clear on the actual schedule as far as the dates don't have to be accurate. I just want to see dates right now in the actual. Don't worry about them being perfect. I just want to see them actually assigned. Yeah.
And another question. On the calendar event, is there a way of like copying and pasting an event? Say I want to post my office hours for the first 3 weeks. Can you create one and then just kind of?
You'd have to do it manually. It's a very limited. So the question was, if I create, so this librarian led me. Let's say this was an event that happened every 3 weeks. And I just want to copy. In Google Calendar, you can do that really easily. You can count. I don't believe, again, I'll take a look at it, but I don't believe you'd have to do these manually for each one, for calendar events. Pandy, you had one, and then Phil.
Yeah, just a quick question. Our assignments will automatically go on the calendar, the due dates,
If you put them in.
Right. Okay, in an online, a completely online class, what else would we put on the calendar? We don't meet, we don't have office hours, we don't.
If it's just assessment, so the question is, if I just have, in an online class, if I just have assignments and stuff like that, there are no other special meetings, what other things that you would want to put on? You might want to put on reminders for when something's due. Or with the discussion board, when you talk about the discussion board, like within mine, the natural progression of the discussion board assignment is you are supposed to reply to my post and then reply to 2 other students' posts. I have my initial reply to the instructor due on Friday, but the students are due on Sunday. But I can't specify those 2 due dates on that assignment for the actual discussion. So I create a calendar event stating, hey, by the way, your replies to your actual students are due on Sunday or whatever. So those are a couple options that you can have. E-campus events or anything else that's relevant to your course. Yes, Phil.
Yeah, I've used it for stargazing. Go outside, look at the night sky. Right? There's a really cool podcast coming up with Bill Nye the Science Guy. That kind of stuff. I did see that you can actually change the date of the calendar event by clicking and dragging. So
yeah, that's really easy.
Move things around, but yes, you couldn't copy and paste. But one of the selling points of Canvas at the Senate meeting, this is a much bigger thing, is that they said that if you copy the course, say from fall to spring, then you can have the dates at least tried automatically.
It does. There's a caveat to that, and it depends because what the problem that has an issue with spring break does have an effect on it. So it's not, so what Phil was talking about and what was talked about in Canvas, or what was talked about, and I'll show this here real quickly. In Unit 5, our next meeting, I'll go through this in more detail as far as how to copy from one sandbox to another. But real quickly, to answer Phil's thing as far as transferring dates, when I say settings, and let's say I want to copy this course, there's a link here that says adjust events and due dates. So you'd start the beginning, so the beginning date would be the start of the spring semester, whatever that is, and then change to whatever the fall semester is, and then the end date for the spring semester, and then the end date for the fall semester. As Cliff said, there's a problem with certain dates as far as the schedule regarding spring breaks. Canvas doesn't account for that. Also for mine, there was one problem where I had in my second course, my start date was on a Friday. This course, the start date was actually on a Monday. So with different days, so thinking of the last 2 courses, let's pretend mine was fall semester and this course is spring semester, with the start dates being 2 different days. When I transferred it over, the first 5 calendar items, or the first items within my calendar were incorrect that I had to, but after that, everything else was perfect. I didn't have to change
So
it.
it's an attempt, basically, and you should really go and fix it.
You still, yeah, so it does work, but it's not perfect. You still have to review it.
Did you click on the select specific content? I just want to see what the array is. Is it by module or?
No, what happens here, so the question Susan asked is select specific. I could click this, but you won't be able to see anything. I'd have to actually go through the entire process to import a course.
Then don't worry about it.
But to answer your question, what is it going to do? So Susan asked, what happens with select specific content? She wanted to see the actual option. If I wanted to select specific content, then I would go in and say, create course, and I have to select the actual course. So when I'm going to my spring, once it gets spring and it makes the assessment of what's available, then it comes up with an actual option of what do I want to bring. What do I want to bring?
Okay.
Yes, William had a question, then Pandy.
Given that you say Canvas is so good and they obviously foresee these things, given that every school has a spring break.
Right.
Do you think they'll fix that soon? Because
Well, there's two caveats here. One, I mean, that's the current problem. I'm addressing the current problem that I'm experiencing now. There's a link right here, as far as the link here that calls substitution, where you can substitute days. I'm still playing around with that. So me personally, I still have more stuff to learn, but also I can talk with Canvas as far as their plans in addressing these issues. We work with them. We do conference calls with Canvas every 3 weeks, and we bring these issues up.
okay, because it would seem like, yeah, it would seem easy enough to use the technology.
Right.
Don't to say, all right, these dates and skip this week or something. Or if we were going to take a 16-week course and do it in an 8-week course, it would
Right.
seem like it could compress those dates. I don't know. I mean, again, that's the
No,
technology.
yeah, and well, you're taking two things here too, because I mean, as I'm teaching you folks as far as how to use Canvas, I'm still learning myself as far as new stuff, as far as the
So there may be a
administrative
way to
side.
cut and paste the
There
courses
might be
and
a way, but this is where it currently is now.
What I've done with mastering, that is a tool, is I keep a spring, it tries to copy dates, but I keep a spring version of the course and a fall version of the course, and I can copy modules, so I can make sure the two modules are the same. But then if I'm teaching in spring 2018, I'll copy my spring 2017
Right.
course. So as long as I can keep my spring and fall
Okay.
core versions synced, which is not that much work, it's actually pretty good. It knows spring break is now going to be week 9, I think. Very exactly.
And one thing
It
too,
gets close. I still have to tweak it. President's Day and Cesar Chavez and Hillary Clinton's birthday, stuff like that. So,
They are
it
making
figures
it
it
a
out.
national holiday now, right?
all right, let's get back on track. We'll do Susan, and then we need to move on.
I was wondering, can we go on to module?
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. We're moving on to modules right now.
My
'Cause we-
question is, you say modules must align with the course outline. One of the things that I've learned in this course is that I have taken a fresh look at everything, and I now have a new course outline. That's much
Here's the
improved.
thing. Okay, so Susan's concerned about this. So in Unit 0, the Getting Started, you folks submitted me a course outline. That course outline was used in Unit 2 in the creation of your modules. And what I sit here and say here is I say the base outline established for 2 modules, the modules must outline with the course outline. What do I mean by that? So what do I mean by that? If Susan, who just stated, as she's learned Canvas more and understand modules, the way she designed her outline in the beginning has now changed based on what she's learned so far. Doesn't align. That's not the issue that I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about, and I influence and I write that statement, is that some folks who don't treat the final project as an actual course they'll be teaching, they don't complete their actual modules. They just do it. They show that they actually create the module, but they don't complete it. And when I've opened, there's a couple that I graded last semester where I'll open them and I'll see what their modules are versus what their outline that they showed me. And this was far from completed. They just created a couple items and then submitted it. So that's what I'm talking about. If I look at something and it looks incomplete, I'm going to knock you for it. But if I look at something and it looks as an evolution of what you've done, then I'm okay with it. Does that make sense?
Yes,
I think what I want to know, just to clarify, is we can change what we have in that we did for the first one.
You can change, yes. So when I talk about as an evolution, change. But if it looks, okay, I'll say this. If I look at your modules and it looks like you half-assed them, you're going to lose credit on that.
Okay, yeah. Also, you asked for the first 2 weeks. I'm teaching a 4-week course.
Mm-hmm.
For me to do the first 2 weeks, that's like doing half the class.
All right, so as we go through here, there's a lot, everybody's different here. So let's actually look at before I actually get into the actual requirements for the actual module section, let me show you as far as how you're going to be submitting this. So let me go here. We're going to talk about the final project submission. So let me figure out what course I need to go to so I can actually show you this. I'm going to go into student view. Student view. I'm going to go to modules. And I will be making an announcement on this too as far as clarification. All right, so the final project submission. Here are the instructions, and you'll see this when you get to 5.5, when you get to that point. I can't show you in the real course because that's going to be locked for me. In the 5.5 final project submission, here are the instructions. So it's going to be a text entry box. So when I click submit assignment, you're going to have a text entry box. So the very first thing that I want to see is a link to your home page. So when I go into home page, I'm going to copy this link. So that's my home page. Come here, link to the home page. That's what I want to see first. The next thing you're going to answer 3 questions. What content items did you complete? Question number 2, what do you feel confident about in your ability to build and teach a course in Canvas? 3 is, what do you not feel confident about? These 2 questions are important because this is going to gear towards future training sessions that both Janet and I do. Question 4 is also important. What are your plans moving forward? We need to know when you're going to start teaching too, because this helps with future training efforts and also when we're going to make the Canvas login link public to faculty. But for question 1, what content items did you complete? If you review the modules document and there are any red flags that don't align or are not consistent, you're like, well, my course is different with what Chris is talking to me, because what I'm trying to do is cover as the broadest picture possible. But if it's specific from you, or if it's different from your course, or it's different from your course, here, you're going to communicate to me those changes. So, for example, let's say Susan, or no, Cliff. Cliff just uses for the home page. Right now, or I don't know if you've changed it, but when it's just the modules page. But I have a whole link there talking about, I just went through the whole requirements of the home page if you use the pages, the front page, the content page as the home page. But if Cliff decided, no, the modules page is more specific, then, and he communicates that to me, I'm going to make exceptions for him as far as to meet the needs as far as his course.
So we're just letting you know how we thought it through and showing we really made a lot of progress.
Right. If you don't communicate to me, and then if I'm based on my own interpretation of what I'm going to see in your course, and if that leads to a false impression that you might not have completed something, or again, using that term, half-assed something, then so the more you use this question, the more you communicate to me about some of the things that you've done in your course and show me the effort that you've put in and the thought process and how things have changed, we'll be good to go. Actually, the rubric, the half-assed, if you want to see the rubric, this is the actual rubric here. I created, my personal self, I still need an idea as far as how to create better rubrics, but basically, when you're reading this, don't feel overwhelmed with this. When you're actually reading the actual rubric, if I can actually leave my student view. I'm trying to leave my student view, not letting me leave. But, there we go, I want to leave student view. When you look at this actual rubric here, this long rubric here, this is why I created this document. You review everything that we've talked about here. An example as far as this document is concerned, which I'm going to go over here, you'll meet everything as far as that rubric is concerned. When we talk about modules here, as far as formatting and everything else, we talk about modules, some of the things that I'm going to look for. Content pages, the ones with the single page icon, they're not indented. I want to see the actual numbering convention. So if you do, whether you do week 1 or unit 0, You have the numbering conventions here that they flow through. Assessments, quizzes, assignments, and discussions are indented by one level. Here we've already, this is where I would have gone through, but Susan already asked this question. This is about the course outline as far as the analysis. You know, you should have at least 2 modules created ensuring course outline is acceptable if you've made changes to your course modules to show an evolution in your design decisions since you last created. However, your listing of your modules must be complete. Points will not be assessed if for module listings that look incomplete. So that's the long version of the answer that I gave you right now.
Gotcha. Thanks.
We talk about overview pages. So this is a breakdown of the actual overview. This is one submitted by an actual instructor. The very first page of each module. If you have a start here module, you could have a welcome overview page for the course. If you're actually doing a course unit, I would like to see something like this. It talks about by the end of this lesson, you will be able to, and this instructor, this is a medical terminology course. She talks about the things that they'll be able to do. And then she says, to meet these objectives by the end of this lesson, you need to do these items. I want to see something like this for your overview page.
Chris?
Yes.
One of the problems I'm having is there seems to be a lot of redundancy. There's so many places that you can access the same information.
That's why we limit the modules. That's why they should all, so you say redundancy. Where do you see that redundancy in my course?
Well, even going through this course, I found that there are many ways I can access the information.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm single-minded. I want to go to one place and it's right there and I know it's there. It's going to be there every time. And it's confusing to have, when you have like information in your documents and then you have sites that you can go to or documents that you can open and the same documents that are someplace else. That's just my personal opinion. To me, it seems overloading, like too much. Am I the only person who feels that?
Well, I'm trying to look for something specific. So is there something specific in my course that kind of relates to what you're
For
explaining?
example, there are 2 or 3 ways I can access discussion boards.
There's 2.
Well, there are 2 ways. Okay, there are 2 ways. Let me think. Of course, I'm not going to be able to think of anything right
I have
now.
a question.
Well, I was sorry, so we don't.
Well,
Yeah, you made your comment. Yes.
I mean, my sort of response to that, or thinking about this in terms of there may be 2 or 3 ways they can access it, but if they can access everything that's important right through the modules,
Exactly.
Right.
tell the students to use, and that's what I'm trying to do too. I mean, there may be 4, 5, 6 ways I can access it. I don't know. I just stick to the modules.
Exactly. That's what the modules and the syllabus section, those are the things. And I leave the discussions. And if you feel, you know, the reason why I sit here and say, when we talk about the discussions, there's 2 ways to get to the discussions. So we have here, I mean, you could sit there and technically say this is 1, this is 2, and then going into the modules is 3. I consider these 2 things, the left menu and that's 1 because that's on 1 page. But the reason why I actually included this is because if I'm going through an actual course, let's say I'm on Unit 3, and I go through and I've enforced the importance of the module section, and as we know, when we click here, if I'm going to enforce the importance of the modules, we go through here, we click next, 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 and we get to that. But let's say in the modules section, today, I stop right here as far as Unit 3.3 instructional content. I do all the reading, I take a break. Right now at 11:06 a.m. I'm done, I take a break. And I want to go back tomorrow, Saturday at 10 a.m. and continue from where I left off. I don't want to I don't want to have to go through the modules and try to figure out, okay, where this is. For me, I also sit there and say, if I know I have to do the discussions, I was just thinking it's easier for me just to click on the discussions and then click on the actual discussion that I need to focus on. That's the only reason why I thought I left it in here. But in your case, if you feel that's redundant and you don't want to include that, you don't have to. You can sit there, drag the discussions down into that, as far as that navigation bar, hide it, and strictly leave students to have that single point of access in the module section and leave it at that. Yeah.
Just a comment. I kind of agree with her in terms of things like I can use it too much, but I can see it being different for a 100% online class versus a face-to-face class. Like if I write
The difference.
that overview of what you're going to do this week, and then the next one says, they know every week it's gonna be green chapter 1 or green chapter 2. So anyway, I may put less in mine since it's a face-to-face than I would if it was periodic.
Right, it's gonna differ in everything else, but that's why I sit there and say the modules is the course section, and to avoid that redundancy, that's why I draw a strong line with files, quizzes, and announced assignments. Files, quizzes, assignments, and then content pages. Because you include those, you'll definitely throw the students off.
I forgot how to do this, but how do you set it up so they have to complete one form?
So Patty was talking about how do you set up a module where they have to complete every single section in that module before they can move on to the next section. Let's look at Unit 4. If I click on Unit 4 and I click on the gear icon and I say Edit, first off, I have a lock until set date. So mine is always open Friday at 8 a.m. So if you have a specific date that you want your stuff to open on, you can lock it there. Also, I have a prerequisite saying you must complete Unit 3 before you can start Unit 4. And then requirements, students must complete all of these requirements. And I sit here and say students must move through these items in sequential order. And then these items are listed. So I select the item that I want to go through. And this is another reason why I sit here and say the numbering convention is perfect, because I don't have to think about the actual context of each item. I can just sit there and go in order, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4. And then you specify for pages, content pages, I just want them to view the item, or you could sit there and say mark is done. For assignments, submit the assignment, or for a discussion, contribute to the page. Now, there's one caveat. One instructor, Sarah Martin, teaches English. She went through the first set, and I'll get to your question in a second, William, after I finish this point. There, in how I set it up, so the general idea that I had in this process, you're focused on a unit. You have to complete that entire unit before you can move on to the next one. So if you missed a quiz on said date, you still have to take, you might not get points for that quiz if you miss it. You know, like I said, everything's due on Friday by 11:59 p.m. If you miss the deadline date, you're not going to get points for it. But to move on to the next unit, you still have to complete the work. She was different. This English instructor said, if Pandy's taking my English course and she misses that quiz, tough luck, you've missed that quiz. You can't take it again. But the problem is if you go by that rule with this setup, they're not going to be able to move on. Does that make sense? So I don't know, and I only say that because I don't know if you would go through the mindset as far as I do, as far as how I treat this course, or if you would go along that mindset. And if you go along that mindset, if I take Pandy's course, I miss her quiz, I miss her paper, I miss her discussion board, and she's like, okay, tough luck, no making up, you know, you continue, then I can't do this model here. So I would probably remove the prerequisites and then take the students must move through the requirement. I would check that. But I would still leave this, students must complete all of the requirements, because I like that, because anytime they complete the requirement, on the modules, they get that, you know, the green check box that you see, they get those green check boxes, and from the feedback we've gotten, students really love seeing those green check boxes so they know what they've completed. Does that make sense? William had a question.
Can you set it up so that they can go through, they can access some of the things in the module, but they can't go on? They have to do some of them in sequential order, or you just have to set up?
No, this is one or the other. I mean, so the question is, can you do some things in sequential order and other things not in sequential order? It's one or the other.
One or the other.
Yeah.
So I can't, okay.
Well, Susan had a question, then Michael.
Okay. This editing the settings and making prerequisites, can you do that for a document, or can this only be done for modules?
Well, I mean, for anything here, well, let's look here. When we look at my final project, in my final project, you know, let me get rid of this. So for my final project requirements, I have 5 documents on this content page. So usually with modules, I don't encourage you, if you're going to post, so like with an actual module, you could post an actual file. I don't want you to post an actual file. I want an actual content page, and I've talked about this with Pandy. Content page that says an overview. Again, what do you teach again?
Interpersonal communication.
Give me a topic.
Gender differences.
Gender differences. So this document that I have, a document, gender differences. I have this document about gender differences in the workplace and how it affects how it affects communication with coworkers. Gender differences, how it affects. I want you to read this document. Maybe talk about a few key concepts. You want to watch out for a few key concepts, and it's going to be important because there's a discussion, there's a quiz. You're going to give some precursor. You're just not going to give the document out to the student and say, here. There's a reason why I'm giving you this document. There's a purpose for it. I want you to create a content page to communicate that purpose, then display the actual document. That's done in a content page. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Perfect. Mike.
Yeah, so we can't set those settings up you can't access them until you finish, because if we submit that for you, then you won't be able to access all those modules, right?
Say that again.
When we submit our final project to you, unless you work through all our modules, you won't be able to access it.
No, I can do that because I'm the instructor.
He's the administrator. He can
I'm the
do
instructor.
anything.
If I'm the student, if I go into student view right now, if you look at my course right now, because of all the requirements that I have as a student, there's things that I wanted to show you from the student view that I can't show you. You see all of this stuff grayed out. As far as a student, this is as far as I've gone. So if I wanted to show you as a student some of the things and how this stuff works, I can't show you because it's all locked out. That's why I've been going into my, I have a dummy course that doesn't have any requirements. So I can go into this course. It doesn't have any requirements. And as a student, I can now go wherever I want because I removed all the requirements.
So it's okay for us to set all those requirements up. Well, we don't see everything. Right? That's what I'm basically asking.
I will be able to see everything, but the student, and students will be able to see those items, but it's going to look just like it did on my screen that you saw. It'd be great. Yeah, I'll see all of that stuff. I don't have a problem with that because I'm not a student. Where are we at with our modules? There's a couple other things, and we got 15 minutes here. Let's see if there's any other things that I want to cover and make sure I need to be in the right course.
Just a quick question
Yeah.
before you're doing that. In our modules, if we have quiz posted there and we get our question pool from another place, can we upload those or not? Whatever the word is.
Define other place.
Well, I have test banks available in both of my classes. So I
Those test banks are from
publishers.
what publishers?
One of them is Work, and the other is McGraw.
McGraw-Hill, so as we mentioned, so the reason why I was getting specific is because so for the recording, Pandy Warner was talking about test banks from different publishers. And the reason why I was getting specific because with the test banks now, we have Pearson, which is my lab in mastering. We have Cengage. We have McGraw-Hill Connect. Those are the main ones that are actually installed right now as far as LTIs. Now, I don't know how any other company actually works. This other company, what was the company's name? Worth. I don't know if they need an LTI installed or if they just have test banks that they'd actually give you.
Well, they have a whole program that they provide with the textbooks. So I don't know, do we have to somehow get that added?
If they have, you will have to do, so when we're talking about LTIs from different publishers, and there's a link that I'll have to give you, you'll have to find out first, contact a representative from that company, find out that installation process, and I'm saying, I'm not only just saying this to Pandy, but I'm saying this to everybody else in this room. If there's another company other than Pearson, Cengage, and McGraw-Hill that you're working with to do your work, Find out exactly what that person, find out the rep, what they actually need to be able to integrate their work, their products into Canvas, and then contact me. And then from that point forward, there's other processes that we need to take advantage of. But you need to, for me to effectively answer that question, I need to understand what Worth or whatever said company actually does. But for this one, in regards to McGraw-Hill, you can go ahead and take this, you know, if you're using McGraw-Hill, I could just go ahead and take this, drag this up here. Well, drag it up here, save it, and then I have to do my connection rights and everything else. Now, mind you, there is no support for third-party LTI products. I can support you on how to use Canvas. Any issues that you have with Cengage, Pearson, McGraw-Hill, or any other company, you have to deal with that company as far as how it integrates into Canvas. All right, let's go. So we talk about completed items. In Canvas, or in this course, you learned how to complete 4 content items. Those items were content pages, assignments, discussions, or quizzes. That is what the course taught you. You did those one-on-one. I want at least 4 more items, content items, for you to create. They could be they could be 4 content pages. They could be a content page, an assignment, and a quiz. They could be a mixture of any item, but I want you to create those items on your own without any guidance from me. You can still use the course as far as a resource, but any items on your own. That could be a mixture. So the total for your 2 modules in your course, it will be a total of 8 content items that will be assessed. Does that make sense?
In each?
No, total. In total. If you could go more, then go more. I'm only requiring 8. I'm only on grade on 8. Let's talk about assessments real quickly. Availability and due dates. So we look availability due February 12th by 11:59 p.m. This assignment is available from January 30th, 12 a.m. to 11:59. Again, for the scope of this final project, as we're working towards a future semester, whether it's summer or fall semester, I don't care if the dates are accurate. I just care if the dates and the availability times are specified. Also, make sure that you choose the correct submission options for your assignments. Side tangent, because I got a couple people here that asked me this during the week. In Blackboard, we use Safe Assign for plagiarism, to check for papers for plagiarism. Safe Assign is owned by Blackboard, built directly into Blackboard, so once Blackboard goes away, Safe Assign will be going away. There is an announcement in Canvas, talks about Verisight. Verisight is the third-party company that is integrated their product into Canvas. They're 2 separate companies. Integrated their product into Canvas. You use this company to check for plagiarism on any submitted papers. You click on this video here, it takes you to a YouTube playlist that is going to give you these videos are really simple. They'll show you step by step on how to do it. I'd recommend, instead of playing these in the Canvas, clicking on the actual link, it actually goes to the actual site. And there's 4 videos. Each video is about a minute long, and they'll show you how to use Verisight as far as submissions. That's in the announcement section. Let me get back here. Clear instructions. So she provided excellent instructions as far as the essay, when it's due, how many points, the requirements of the actual paper and everything else. What I'm also concerned about too, this is not a requirement, this is more of a recommendation. At least provide some basic bulleted, just a simple outline instruction on how the assignment should be submitted. When you're ready to submit the assignment, 1, click on Submit Assignment. 2, refer to the text entry box and type your paper, or refer to the file upload box and click Choose File to select your file and then submit it. Provide some short guide, doesn't have to be complicated or anything else, on how you want the submission to be turned in if it's going to be turned into Canvas. That's a recommendation. A requirement, clear rubrics have been provided to communicate how this assessment will be graded. So for any assessment that you have, if you have and when I talk about assessments where rubrics apply, that's either a discussion or an assignment. So for any discussions or any assignments that you've created, I want to see an actual rubric for that assignment or discussion. And if you have, so on the modules, you can refer back to Unit 2 on how to create a module. And then for the create assessment item, this one not only goes into how to create the actual assignment, but there's also links here as far as how to create the rubric. So when we go all the way down to in the resources section, there's a section on rubrics, how they're created. Any final questions on modules? All right, so no more questions there. Currently, it's 11:24. We have 5 minutes left, and I don't know what your schedule is like. The only thing I have to be up by 1:45 because I'm meeting with Sharon to answer some questions about her course. So the next items that we had here was how to embed the Netiquette guide, cover a basic, there's some key points. I wasn't going to spend too much time, but there's some things I wanted to cover as far as assignments and assessments. And then talk about, I was going to show you the Grade Center and Speed Grader or the course button. Do we want to end this now with any other open questions, or are there any items 2 through 5 that you would like to go over?
2 and 5.
Is that pretty universal?
5 are really straightforward when you follow your written stuff online.
All right. We'll go with that. So right now we'll go through, since per request, we're going hands-on how to embed the Netiquette guide on your module. So what are we referring to when we talk about the Netiquette guide? When I go back into the actual course, I click on modules. And I encourage you folks, anytime you actually saw anything in this course that you actually wanted to, that you felt useful, go ahead and steal.
How do we steal that?
And that's what I'm going to show you.
Okay, cool.
So if you want to refer to it, 0.6, this is your first online class. This is the link that I've gotten the most questions on as far as how to embed this item. So when we bring this up, the very top part, the only thing you would need to include is this. As far as copy. The rest of this stuff is directed to you, not an actual student. So, or the actual student in your course, you'll take this. But the most important part that we needed was this part. And this part isn't an image. I can't save this as an actual image and download it. There's a specific way that I have to embed this into the course. So is everybody on this page? I'm going to show, this is a hands-on. If you want to follow along and learn how to do this, I'm walking you through this right now. So let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
All right. So on this page, 0.6, this is your first online class. There is a link here that says use it in your course. Click on that link. For the unit 0.6, is this your first online class page? You need to be on this page. Right before the graphic actually starts, there is a link here. There's a copy here that says think also about Netiquette. At the very end of that sentence, it says, if you find this graphic helpful, you may use it in your course. I would like for you to click on that link. What you should see now is Netiquette infographic code. The very third option is grab the div embed code below. You're going to highlight all of this. So starting from the very top div all the way to the very end where it says script. You see on my screen, that's all the items that need to be highlighted. This item's highlighted. I'm going to I can hit Control C to copy, or you can right click and then say copy to copy this stuff to your clipboard. Has everybody made that copy? All right. If you have made that copy, then go into your GC Canvas training sandbox. So your training sandbox. I'm going to go into mine. Once you're in your training sandbox, click on modules. And then that item is going to be, that page is a great page for your getting started or your very first module. So in your very first module, click on the plus button for that module. You should have the new add item, content item to your orientation or first module. Yes, Janet will help you, William.
If we've already got it, I already had it first on my class, so I'm just going to put it right there. Do I need to add a module?
No, right now, if you already have a page, that's fine. We're walking through the creation of the new page.
Yeah, but I just didn't have the content.
That's fine. So if you already have a page that you can have as far as the orientation, you could skip it. If you don't have a new page, follow what I'm doing right now on screen. Click on the window here and then say, click on content page. We're going to create a new page. And you would have a specific number. I'm just going to use the same number that I have. We'll say 0.6. Is this your first online class? Question.
But they may be online, they may not be. That's what I'm saying.
Click on the actual link. Click edit. The link to the actual page. So going back to your modules, when I mentioned when I'm saying this is a link to that actual item of the page you created. Are we good?
So do you pay?
Not yet. We want to make sure everybody's on that page. So I want you to open up the page you just created. Click on modules. Did you create that page? Scroll down. Scroll down. I just want to see what you got here. No. All right. Scroll up. Create page again. Yeah. Mouse button. Drop down. Content page. New page. Click add items. Click on this link. All right, so the page is actually opened. Once you have the page open, you're going to click edit. Once you edit, you're in the rich context editor now. Do not do this, but if I was in the rich context editor and I paste that, it's just text. It's not going to mean anything. It's not going to work. What you need to do is enter in the HTML editor. Hit Control V and paste your thing. So make sure you click on the HTML editor and then go ahead and paste your code. That's good. Perfect. If you've done that in the HTML editor, click Save. Yeah. And it's loading because of the computer. You notice here too, what I have here, and this is my fault here. I didn't delete all that code here, so that's why we see that problem here. So I'm going to redo mine.
Mine has that too.
It's not in here, hold on.
It's here also.
I have.
Right, make sure.
It's taking forever.
Ah, that's new. Does it actually do that? The other one works though. This worked yesterday when I tested it.
I believe you.
The iframe code version of that, the one that's above it, the next above.
Oh, the iframe code? All right.
Put that in there.
All right. So what that is, all right. So let's do this again. What you're going to have on your first page.
No, I went back to his.
All right, so what happened is the code that I selected didn't work. So we're gonna set, and then Robert selected a different set of code that did work.
How do you cancel? Are they still loading?
So what we do here is when in the training sandbox, when we go, I'm trying to get to that page, and you have the first online class. I'm gonna click Edit. I'm going to click in this editor box. You can either HTML editor or whatever, and then I'm going to select this and delete it. Leave this page open. What you need, if you have this tab with this code still open, that's great. If you do not have this tab, you'll need to go back into My Course. So what you would do to stay in your course and leave this page open, I'm going to hold down the Control key. I'm going to click on the dashboard. And then I'm going to go back to the Introduction to Teaching with Canvas course and then locate that file. All right, so the code that you actually want is the iframe code. The div code doesn't work. We've just had 2 people now confirm that it does work. So to grab the iframe code is what you want. I Control-C, copy this. In the HTML editor for the page, I paste that in. And I click Save. Janet, I believe Pandy needs some. This is what we should see.
It came out beautiful.
There are other things that we want to, I don't want to just copy and paste the Connecticut part.
Right.
I want to copy and paste, like, how do they work their way through Canvas and all that. So is that a similar process?
When we talked about that, Pandy asked that in the beginning as far as guidance for students.
Right.
And when I talked about in the modules section, there in the in the unit 0 in unit 1.
Yeah.
In unit 1, in the instructional content section, so for unit 1.3, there was student view stuff. There were links here as far as getting started with Canvas as a student. How do I use the dashboard? How do I use, this is perfect stuff to handle with the students.
Okay.
Then we talked about as far as the help section, going into search the Canvas guides. When I look at the Canvas guides, I can click on the Canvas guides right here. There is a link here to the students. There's some basic videos that you have right here. Any student information that you want to share with students, there's a ton of information here for students as far as guidance. And then there's a link here for basic videos that they can actually use as well. that you can point these to.
Okay, so, and how do I copy that? I mean,
You copy, I mean, as far as creating links, if I wanted to create a link here to the basic guides, I can copy this here. Just like you've created any link here, I could click at it. And then at the top here, here is some tutorial. And then I paste the link. There's the link. Or I create an actual link. And then I could have that netiquette guide there. So pasting links, how you create those links is anything no different than what you've been doing so far. Does anybody else need help? Are we good, Pandy? Susan's good, right?
I'm very good, thank you.
Awesome.
Wherever you have it.
Click edit. You pasted that in rich text mode. So rich text editor, when you paste anything in the rich text editor, it's just text. So select all of it. Click right here. Click right there. Just click anywhere. Yeah. Just hit Control A, copy. And then Control X, cut. And click the HTML editor. And then let's get rid of all that. I don't know. Delete all that. Hit Control V to paste. Save.
So I have to use the,
That's not as hard as it seems to be. The problem was the mistake I made is I selected the wrong code. The embed code, that's the problem. That's what created all the confusion.
So my problem is I'm used to that.
See,
Yeah.
over here, this is.
Can I ask you one?
It's a little, yeah, I don't know which way is on.
I can't remember
You know.
how to set the discussion boards up so that you have to respond. I just can't remember how to do that.
There's one question Pandy just asked as far as how to set discussions up that students must reply first before they must post a reply before seeing other replies. In the actual discussions, click on whatever discussion I have. I click edit. And if you want to look on my screen, in the options section, it's users must post before seeing replies.
Guys, before you start running off, I've just got really good news for you and your faculty that any training that is done during the summer, you get professional development hours. That comes from the state. I spoke to LeBaron Woodward this morning, and that comes from the state. So you can get credit. I asked him to send me an email, which I've now passed on to the deans and the professional development committee. So there should be absolutely no problem in you getting professional development credit for whenever that you want if you do any trainings for the summer.
What
Okay?
about this?
What about this one? You'll get it. That one I've already negotiated.
Okay, oh,
And
okay,
what the
good.
big thing was, and I heard this
Yeah.
last night, that some of the colleges are fighting that particularly the adjuncts aren't getting professional development credit for these type of courses. So we went one step further and decided to go to.
Did you get the thing, Pandy?
What about for Brett, like moving?
You can do that too. You can do that too.
For what?
As soon as you finish this course and everything's graded, you will see your grades and you'll get a certificate put in your mailbox. Okay, and that certificate is enough to get.
If you pass with an 80% or above.
Yes.
Let me know.
If I create an assignment and I wanted it to be a content page, can I switch them? Or do I have to?
You have to, if you created a content page that you meant it to be an assignment, you have to copy all that get all that content out of the content page, create the assignment, and then delete the content page. You can't switch them from one or another. All right, so it looks like everybody's done. It looks like we're done for the day. So with the Canvas, since we didn't get to the buttons, you can refer to that Canvas buttons PDF guide if you want to learn. So that takes you step by step on that stuff. Good luck on your final projects. Let me know if you have any other questions.
I have a question. Would you have any time on Wednesday?
Uh-huh. I have to look at my schedule. So send me a reminder, email me a reminder to
Okay.
meet.
Because given that I'm doing sections,
Mhm.
All the stuff I would normally put on.
you know, I think what I do is going to be satisfactory to you, but
Uh-huh.
I just kind of wanted, because I'm not doing the online course.
Right.
Everything I'm doing is,
Right.
so, for instance, I really don't think I'm gonna have just